Welcome to episode 2, Breakdown. Let's get to it. At first, what I thought was going to be a flashback to Buckley's past, turns out we have Secret Service agents trying to track down money press plates that were stolen and counterfeit bills were printed. This is the same money press mold that our trio, along with Chow, found and took at the end of episode 1. One of the Secret Service agents gets shot when trying to investigate a suspicious cargo, and the last standing agent, Agent Mosley, takes one of them alive to interrogate. When Agent Mosley questions the dude about who he picked up the money for, he gives info about a Chinese fellow, aka Chow, and intro. Our trio and Chow are trying to figure out how to print money and failing terribly. Chow suggests they get outside help, but Young Jun refuses until Assam makes him see reason. We then finally get to see the new chief of police in action, and he's hella brutal that even Bill thinks he's going too far, and then get into a shouting match. I'm confident Bill's growing a soft spot for the Chinese immigrants. I mean, sure, he hated them in the first few seasons, but he spent a little bit of time with them, just because of gambling debts and whatever. Seeing this new chief just beat up on immigrant families, and of course, Bill's not with his own family, so of course he's going to get triggered a bit. Like, that family man sensibility in him is going to get triggered. Back at the duck pond, Mayor Buckley is pestered over a political rival having more attention than him during an election, and gives our new chief of police, Chief Atwood, props for cracking down on Chinese crimes. Chief Atwood may look like a hero here, but even Bill and the rest of the squad knows it was bullshit violence against innocent families, and they just went along with it. At Abigail's bar, two bounty hunters come knocking for a guy named Richard Lee, which forces them to kill and dispose of the bounty hunters through Happy Jack, another character from last season that our Hopway trio seeked help with during their molasses arc. I also found it interesting that Lee was naive enough to think that if he beat up those two bounty hunters, they would just run away and never come back, when in reality they would have brought a bigger squad. So it makes sense why Abigail thought it was the right decision to off them rather than just beating them up and having them go on their merry way. Kong Pak and Mai Ling have a chat over tea, and Kong starts to make a point about how Young Jun is no leader. He even suggests that they let the Hop White die slowly while they play the long game of waiting. This amuses Mai Ling greatly, even admitting that patience was never her strong suit. I feel like this is one of Kong Pak's one first step to something bigger picture. Like, I'm pretty sure we're going to see more of this private talk with Mai Ling and stuff as the season goes on. Kong Pak's going to be like the devil on Mai Ling's shoulder, kind of whispering, you should do this, or you should do that. Because, Leong's not really making any of those moves. He's just more of he's the yes man to Mai Ling. Whereas Kong Pak, he's the one who will suggest things to Mai Ling. Leary, on the other hand, finally got Irish workers to work, but they have to work alongside the Chinese workers. This becomes an issue when Mr. Merriweather mentions to Leary on how the workers he recommended had been fighting Chinese workers. Leary is obviously pissed off with the Donahues and tries to make them behave, but their hate for the Chinese matters more than their jobs. And Leary forces them to leave for being ungrateful, making an example of them to every other Irish worker. Agent Mosley continues his investigation and makes his presence known to Chief Atwood in order to make contact with the Chinatown squad. The chief brushes him off like he's a nuisance, and Mosley makes his power as a government agent loud and clear after being courteous that it pisses off the chief. I'm really liking how badass Mosley is. I thought he was just going to be some regular, oh, I'm a secret agent guy, whatever, but no. He put his hand down on the table and was like, look here, motherfucker, I'm the one in charge, and I'm going to help you with your Chinatown problem. Like, Agent Mosley's cool, but it makes me fear for my Hopway boys. So Sam tries to recruit the printer and offers him a job as a way to pay off his debt, but the man turns it down since he doesn't want any gangster ties. Then he gets chewed out by his son for not accepting their offer. The printer's daughter, on the other hand, also seems to have an interest in their offer, even though she doesn't make it apparent. Meanwhile, Young Jun and Hong are beyond the pond, and a handsome singer catches Hong's eyes, but Young Jun makes them leave after he has a bad gambling streak. Probably not too far from Young Jun and Hong, Lee and Abigail have Happy Jack clean up their mess, and Happy Jack discovers Lee's bounty. The next day, Mai Ling notifies Li Yong about uniting another Tong. However, their leader Mu Chen, Li Yong dislikes them because they aren't honorable, but she insists he bring Kong Pak along to make things go over more smoothly. You see? Do you guys see? He's making his move. He's in Mai Ling's head now. Assam and Atoy stroll through Chinatown, where we see that even though the bulls have shut them all down, the Chinese still thrive by setting up markets of their own, and then some kids notice Assam, the man on the wall. Atoy brings up how he's famous briefly before Assam dodges her compliment by asking about Lai. This is when Atoy opens up about how her and Nellie may have a chance at a better life than Chinatown. This is another aspect of a character wanting to leave things behind, and it's also making me scared that by the time season 3 ends, we're not going to have all our major key players. But I'm aware that with things like this in a TV show like this, there's always a push and pull factor to it. Like if one good thing happens, something equally bad has to happen also. Leary is in Buckley's office, trying to make him move faster in outlawing Chinese labor. But Buckley is also caught between a rock and a hard place with his new political rival. Leary goes apeshit, but Buckley keeps his cool. I'm definitely starting to believe Leary's going to have a large tipping point. Like, he already kind of beat up that one dude, but that was only like a small little thing. I'm expecting him to go on a larger scale of like, he's going to go from like small time thug to like big time thug, but who's also in politics. Like the shot in the trailer where he blows up something, railroads. I'm expecting him to do big moves like that in the future. Assam is approached by the printer's daughter, named Yan Mi, who offers to help them with their press problem. In return for her help, she wants Young Jun to wipe away her father's debts and relieve her father of all their Tong business dealings. Yan Mi is a series regular in the show, and I'm pretty sure she's going to be Assam's new love interest because, Penny's not there. And my only fear is that every woman Assam has ever been in love with, they've always met a nasty end. I mean, Atoy, no. They had a one-night thing. Penelope, she's in a psych ward. Vega, deceased. Like, usually if Assam finds love, the things never go well for it. So I'm hoping this one turns out well. Leary's then hired by a businessman to be his muscle man to convince one of his competitors, and Leary takes offense for a moment until the businessman makes him an offer he can't refuse. Jobs. We see Bill visiting his family again and desperately wanting them back, but his wife is still unwilling to rejoin. His brother-in-law, however, just when you think he's about to ask when his family's gonna GTFO again, he offers Bill a job at his factory as a way to leave the force. Bill doesn't give him a straight answer, but is silently considering it. Bill later goes to the bar where Leary is at, and they have a small chat until the Donahue bros decide to pick a fight with Leary over taking their job. Leary turns down the fight at first until they mention him getting his ass whooped by Assam. This is when we see Leary fight two guys at once. Leary is still one tough son of a bitch during this fight, but activates his rageful strength when he gets punched in the chest where Assam previously hit him. I had a theory a while ago that if season 3 happened, we were going to see Leary definitely have some heart problems just from that crazy punch. And I'm glad that they're acknowledging it a bit, and I'm kind of curious to see where this development goes. We go back to Nellie's farm and she's visited by Douglas, an old friend of her husband, who offers her a sum of money in order to buy her land and build a railroad over it. Nellie respectfully refuses him and hopes he lawyers up if he wants to take it away from her. Douglas kindly leaves in hopes of her reconsidering his offer, until he catches a glimpse of her with Atoy. If there's railroads being built here, well, we all know where that goes.
You know, the Chinese, we built the railroads there.
Thanks to Yan Mi, the Hop Waste chop machine has now printed a picture-perfect dollar. And while that happens, Mayor Buckley and his political rival are trying to win over the hearts of the citizens with their political speeches and promises to the people. His rival's using the family man card in order to appeal to the hearts of the voters, whereas Buckley's too straight to the point and not really winning them over. We also learned that Buckley's super uncomfortable with crowds, possibly from his time in the military and especially with how he lost his leg. We then get a possible love interest for Buckley by the name of Catherine Archer, a well-dressed woman who rizzes him up and gives him some political confidence. Damn, even a man like Buckley can find love. Maybe there is hope for me. No, Centauri, no. Shh, I would never. Mai Ling is now in the pond with the ducks and telling her story of coming to America. She fascinates every rich duck lady with it. She's even gifted a dress by her new lady duck friend. Like what I said for Atoy. If there's things that's going really good right now, there's something that is really bad on the surface of this. I just feel it. Li Yong and Kong Pak finally have a tongue meeting with Mu Chen, but they demand to keep their own name and territories. And just as Li Yong's about to hear him out, this forces our two best friends of the Long Z to fight the rival Tong, and oh my god, I need to see Mark Dacascos and Joe Taslim in an action movie right now. They are such a badass pairing. Kong Pak tries to stop the fighting and order everyone to follow the Long Z. Mu Chen still refuses to be ordered around by a woman like Kong, and he kills him. I feel like this Tong meeting went over a little too smoothly, and I mean, him knowing that someone in the distance was gonna throw a dagger at Li Yong, I'm just like, Looks like a setup, bro. I mean, the Long Z did pair up with the Feng Hai for a hot minute, but that was only because they were desperate. Cause Zing didn't really manipulate too much of anything with the Long Z. He was just more of the, the guy who puffed up his chest. Whereas Kong Pak, he's a little more snake-like, especially with feeding ideas to Mai Ling. I'm gonna keep my eye on you, Kong Pak. The episode ends with Lee being tracked down by Agent Mosley and being offered to help him find the money press plates. Lee refuses at first, until Mosley offers to wipe away his bounty if he helps him find the press plates. Another great episode of Warrior. Last episode, we got a bunch of setup to storylines, but now it feels like every character group are taking their first steps into a much more grander story. Hot Boy is printing counterfeit money, Long Z are expanding their control over the Tongs way more, Buckley is going to shape himself into the ideal political man with a great woman at his side, Leary is now catching the eyes of larger businessmen who are willing to accept his grunt work, and Lee may just be the next most dangerous person the Bulls have. He's still a Boy Scout who wants to do everything right, but he now has a driving motivation to return to the Force, and that's going to make him dangerous to all the Tongs. I'm currently struggling to catch up to the most current episode and do a breakdown video on it, because obviously I'm not a paid YouTuber. I'm only doing this out of passion for the show and hoping to get more eyes on it. So expect episode breakdowns to be a few days later than usual, and not immediately after when the episodes do drop. But if I missed anything, or forgot to mention something in the breakdown, let me know in the comments. If you want to see me cover the next few episodes as they release, be sure to subscribe and enable alerts so you never miss a video. Thank you all for watching. Stay itchy, my fellow onions. Oh god, I hit myself.